Dave, congratulations again. Thank you for coming in for it. We very much appreciate it, and we're very honored that you would take the time to come back in for it. Thank you. Okay, and our second inductee, and again a familiar face to introduce him, presented to Bob Roggow for his dad, Norman Doc Roggow, and the Hall of Fame inductee to introduce him, Ed Janulionus. Ed, come on up.
First of all, I played for Doc in 52, 3, and 4, and I came from Chicago as a sophomore, and we had played a little more daring kind of game in those days in Chicago than in NT. We did a lot of jump shots and overhand free throws. And I came to here, my dad had transferred jobs, so that's how I ended up in North Town. Anyway, so I try out for the team, and Doc says, no jump shots. My philosophy is you do not leave your feet unless you're going for a layup when you're shooting. And he said, I don't like the way you shoot free throws. You're throwing them overhand rather than underhand. And so I said, Doc, look, that's how I learned the game. If I can't do it that way, I guess I can't play for you. So he bent the rules for me a little bit. He let me do it. And the other guys caught on and started doing the same thing. So that was my first introduction to Doc Roggow. While his 14 years isn't the most stellar record, he did win 86 games, fourth best of all the coaches we had here. But you got to remember too that in those days they only played 12 or 14 games versus 20 today. So it's conceivable he could have been higher in the ranking in terms of wins. He was a tough coach to play for, but a fair one. I can say that for him. I want to digress a little bit about the rest of Doc's career, if you don't mind. There's a big story here to tell. This might be the best kept secret of any of our coaches. Doc coached football. He was the head coach when George Vetter went off to fight the war for 4 years. His winning record was over 600%. He was an assistant coach before that for George, and then after that until 56. He coached the running backs and the offensive line. Of course, I played on that team for George in 53 and 54. The Doc was my running coach because I was the tailback. So I got to meet him at another venue. Our paths have crossed many, many times. I'll get to that in a second. He was a gym instructor here and a health instructor for 40 plus years. When I was playing for him in basketball, there was a flare-up between, I'm not sure, me and Doc, or Doc and my father. But anyway, it was settled after the game, and my father and my mother and Doc and his wife became fast friends. It's a true story. They would visit with each other probably weekly during the winters for sure, at each other's house and entertain each other. This went on for 20-some years. It would probably go on longer because, except my parents moved to Houston for health reasons. My mother had a very sick illness. I do know that Doc and his wife, Margaret, visited my parents at least once in Houston. So that's how close they were. Doc, during the summer, he and his wife would spend time in Canada as camp counselors at Camp Pathfinder. That's a camp for boys up in Algonquin Park. I was there one summer visiting with them after I had graduated from college. And as tough as Doc you'd want him to appear to be, I saw him one day sitting in front of his cabin feeding chipmunks. So there was a soft side to him as well. I live in Buffalo, and my wife's an attorney, so we go to a lot of legal affairs, and I can't tell you how many times an attorney will walk up to me, knowing that I came from NT, and said, "You know Doc Roggow?" And I'm saying, "Why would you ask that question?" He said, "Well, I was at Camp Pathfinder at Algonquin." So Doc was known outside of NT as well. Looking at the man for all these years, I portray people two ways. They're either givers and takers. Doc definitely was a giver. So with that, I would like to present 2011 inductee Norm Doc Roggow to his son, Bob.